would be honored if you would join us.
Welcome back to Film Stories, and today here on the YouTube channel we're talking about Beverly Hills Cop. So the origins of Beverly Hills Cop saw the project take several turns in style before it became one of the more beloved action comedies of the 1980s. The origins of the idea are believed to have begun with either producer Don Simpson or Paramount executive Michael Eisner, depending on who you believe. Either way, the nucleus of the idea was given to Danilo back in 1977 to adapt what was just then the very germ of an idea, a fish out of water idea about a cop who was out of place in the rather affluent area of Beverly Hills. So it was a concept really at that point, which was little more than an idea given to him to turn into a screenplay, and that idea sat there for a long time, from 77 right through until the start of the 80s, when Mac wrote that screenplay, generated that idea into something more concrete, as a kind of serious action film. And he said that when he wrote the first draft, he was thinking of a lead character like Pacino or James Caan or Clint Eastwood, none of whom were ever approached, but that was certainly his thinking as he was writing the screenplay. Then the script went through a fairly substantial redraft with Mickey Rourke, who was pretty hot at that point, then attached to star. The screenplay was rewritten by Daniel Petrie Jr. Again, for the third time, it was rewritten and took a more comic turn, but it took longer to develop in adding those comic beats, which resulted in Rourke leaving the project. So Bruckheimer and Simpson, who were developing the project for Paramount, then ran into Eddie Murphy on the Paramount lot, and the duo introduced the concept of the film to Murphy. He loved it and agreed straight away to come on board, and so the project went up the chain to Eisner for approval. But the Paramount bosses had already offered the role to Sylvester Stallone. At this point, Stallone was running high, certainly in the action genre. The Rocky series was doing great money, and now he had a corking Rambo film under his belt too. And Paramount wanted to be in business with Stallone as an action star. If you watch the making of documentary of Beverly Hills Cop, Petrie Jr., the screenplay writer, claims that Paramount offered Stallone the role, believing that he'd turn it down. They just wanted him involved with one of their projects. They thought he might turn this one down, but that's not what happened. He accepted, and suddenly Sylvester Stallone was attached to play the lead in Beverly Hills Cop. Stallone wasn't overly enamoured with the comedy beats in the script, though, and in true Stallone fashion, he gave the script to rewrite himself, and it reverted again back to a more kind of action tone. Perhaps less serious than the original backdraft, but certainly a much more action tone than it was becoming when Rourke and Murphy were in line to play the role of Axel Foley. So on CBR.com, I found this extract from an interview with Stallone about the process at the time. He said, "When I read the script for Beverly Hills Cop, I thought they had sent it to the wrong house. Somehow me trying to comically terrorise Beverly Hills is not the stuff that great yuck festivals are made of. So I rewrote the script to suit what I do best, and by the time I was done, it looked like the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan on the beaches of Normandy. Believe it or not, the finale was me in a stolen Lamborghini playing chicken with an oncoming freight train being driven by the ultra-slimy bad guy. Needless to say, they dropkicked me and made my script out of the office, and the rest is history." And whether they actually dropkicked Stallone out of the office, who knows? But certainly, it was the huge set pieces in his rewrite that eventually meant that he lost favour with Paramount as the budget that they wanted to spend on Beverly Hills Cop had begun to spiral. So at this point, according to Mental Floss, Scorsese was offered the chance to direct the film, but turned it down in favour of making it After Hours. Ultimately, it was budget rather than story concerns that took Stallone at the project. As I've just mentioned, the numerous action sequences that he'd written in increased the potential spend on the film way past where Paramount wanted it to be. And so, with just weeks left before the shoot, Stallone, along with all those action sequences that he'd added in, was moved on to another project within Paramount. And Eddie Murphy was moved back in with all those comedy beats reinstated into the film. Bruckheimer eventually persuaded Martin Brest to direct. Brest had been fired from the director's chair on War Games because the tone of the film that he was filming with War Games was just perceived as being way too dark and way too serious, and the producers of that film didn't feel like the kids in the movie were having any fun, as you would do if you kind of had hacking keys to the universe. But Brest would go on to prove many doubters wrong with Beverly Hills Cop, which is, depending where you look, became the highest grossing film of the year, outperforming Ghostbusters, Temple of Doom, Gremlins, Karate Kid. And Brest would go on to direct 3 more movies: Midnight Run, Scent of a Woman, and Meet Joe Black, before that firestorm criticism over 2003's Gigli would mark the end, at least thus far, of his career as a director. A real shame when you consider the quality of those films, but he seems to have been consigned to a permanent state of Hollywood jail. Stallone would go on to use the action beats from his discarded Beverly Hills Cop rewrite to form the basis of Cobra, his next star vehicle, and Eddie Murphy, of course, would find great success in the role of Axel Foley, reprising the role in a successful second installment and a less successful third entry, which he has since called garbage. The future of a 4th installment still lingers on, and Murphy did actually return to play Axel Foley one more time in a made-for-TV feature-length pilot for a new Beverly Hills Cop show, to feature his on-air son as the main protagonist, but CBS never picked the show up and it was never aired. Still, though, the franchise probably lived on longer than it would have if Stallone was heading up the project, although in the wonderful, weird world of Hollywood cinema, we'll never know. That's been a film story. You can find more film stories. You can find us at Twitter at Film Stories Pod. We're at Facebook at Film Stories Online. We have a lovely, shiny website with trailers and news and links to other film stories. That's at filmstories.co.uk, where you can also subscribe to the brand new, shiny, beautiful, real-life Film Stories magazine. It is a thing of beauty. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being part of Film Stories, for all the support, every click that you give us, every push, every retweet and like. It all really helps. Please do subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.